Hi everyone, welcome to this video where we will understand different compute options available on AWS. So before we begin with today's video, let me give a quick introduction about myself. My name is Aishwarya Sood and I am working as a lead coach in the AWS domain at Ethnos. I have more than 2.7 years of experience into the training, delivery and development. I am Amazon authorized instructor, 3x AWS certified and AWS Academy accredited educator. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. The profile name is given here, or you can scan this QR code to directly view my profile. So let's begin with today's video. Let me take you through the agenda for today's video. So we'll begin by discussing what exactly is compute and what are the different compute options available on AWS. And we'll focus on 4 compute services in this video, which is Amazon EC2, Amazon Lightsail, AWS Lambda, AWS Elastic Beanstalk, and we'll have a quick overview of the other available compute services as well. And then we will talk about a quick comparison between all the compute options so that you can make a decision which one is good for your use case. So let's first understand the meaning of compute before we begin discussing the compute services of AWS. In cloud computing, the term compute that we are going to discuss, it describes concepts and the objects that are related to software computation. It is a generic term used to reference the processing power or memory or networking, storage and other resources that are required for the computational success of any program. For example, applications that run machine learning algorithms or 3D graphics rendering functions require many gigabytes of RAM and multiple CPUs to run successfully. So in this example that I just took, the CPUs, RAM and graphic processing units required will be called as compute resources. For this, on AWS, we have a certain set of services under the compute category. Let's have a look at them. AWS offers many compute services because different use cases benefit from different compute environments. The optimal compute service or services that you will use depend on your use case. Okay, so out of all the services that will be available, you have to consider some aspects before deciding on which service you will go for. So few aspects that you can consider is like what is your application design, what are your usage patterns, which configuration settings will you want to manage and which settings you will want to be managed by the service itself, and selecting the wrong compute solution for an architecture will of course lead to lower performance efficiency. So you have to consider these things before you decide the optimal service for you, because you can't just go blindly for any service. You first have to understand the available compute options, then only you can decide, okay, this is good for my case and this might be good for some another case. So as I told you that we have numerous compute services available on AWS, how to choose between different compute services? First of all, let's understand the available compute options that are available for various use cases. Choosing the best AWS infrastructure will totally depend on your application requirements, lifecycle, code size, demand, and the computing needs. For example, if you want to deploy a selection of on-demand instances offering a wide array of different performance benefits within your AWS environment, you would go for Amazon EC2, that is Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. And if you want to run Docker-enabled applications packaged as containers across a cluster of EC2 instances, you can go for Amazon ECS, that is Amazon Elastic Container Services. If you want to run your own code using only milliseconds of compute resources in response to event-driven triggers in serverless environment, you can go for AWS Lambda. So in today's video, we'll focus on Amazon EC2, AWS Lambda, Amazon Lightsail and Elastic Beanstalk, as these are the basic compute resources everyone must know. For rest of the compute services, we'll just a quick overview. In this video, for a deep dive, we might consider doing them in the next video. For now, let's begin with the Amazon EC2. Here's the first and most core compute service of AWS. It is a web service under the compute category of AWS that provides resizable compute capacity in the cloud. It is designed to make web scale computing easier for developers and is nothing but the virtual machine available for our use on AWS and is named as EC2 instance. So if you understand what's a server and what does a virtual machine do, you can easily understand what is EC2 doing. But what does EC2 mean at all? It stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Elastic refers to the fact that you can easily increase or decrease the number of servers that you run to support an application automatically. Compute refers to the reason why most users run servers in the first place at all, which is to host running applications or to process data. Basically, the actions that require compute resources, including processing power, that is CPU, and memory, that is RAM. And cloud refers to the fact that EC2 instances that you run are hosted in the cloud. So that is there in the name of the EC2 instance. EC2 represents a true virtual computing environment, allowing you to use the web service interfaces to launch instances with a variety of operating systems, load them with your custom application environment, and manage your network access permissions and run your image using as many or few systems as you desire. And choosing which instance types you want, then start, terminate, and monitor as many instances of your AMI, which is Amazon Machine Image, as needed using the web service APIs or the variety of management tools provided. You can have a lot of customizations. You can define your custom network layer. You can define what type of instance you want, which is basically what type of server you want, which will include what kind of how many CPUs do you need, what amount of RAM do you need, what amount of storage do you need, which operating system you want. Everything will be under your control for your instance. Also, you define the security and network access on your EC2 instance. You determine whether you want to run in multiple locations, utilize the static IP endpoints, or attach any persistent block storage to your instance. Everything is your choice. And about the cost, what do? You just pay as you go. You pay only for the resources that you actually consume, like for the instance hours or the data transfer. So the cost is not too much, it is just minimal and it's very easy to use. You can very easily get started with AWS by hosting something on EC2 instance. Let's quickly have a look at how do we launch an EC2 instance on AWS console. We'll go to the AWS console and we'll launch our first EC2 instance. First of all, we have to navigate to EC2. You can search from here as well. Then you click on instances. It will show any instance that is running in your account. Right now, I don't have any in this region. So I'll click on launch instances. First of all, I just have to give a name to my instance. Let's name it as first EC2. We'll take this name and you have to select the AMI, the operating system from here. AMI is nothing but the Amazon Machine Image, which will define which operating system you are going to use. So I'll go ahead with the Linux operating system. Then you can define what architecture you want and what is the instance type you want. Okay, like I was talking about how many CPUs, how much memory you need. You can choose from a long list that is available here depending on your requirements. By default, T2.micro is selected, which has 1 CPU and 1 GB of memory. I'll go ahead with that. Then you have key pair, which is used to securely log into your EC2 instance. You can also proceed without a key pair. You can create a new key pair. It is up to you. If you proceed without a key pair, you will still be able to connect to your EC2 instance with different options. If you want to connect to your EC2 remotely, you will have to create a new key pair. So as of now, for this demo, I'll begin with the begin without a key pair. So we can skip as of now. Then network settings, in which VPC you want your EC2 instance to be placed. That is your network. And in which subnet do you have a preference? Do you want a public IP to be automatically assigned? Yes, we want that, so it is enabled. What security group you want? So security group is nothing but a firewall that will be used with the EC2 instance. So do you want to use an existing security group or do you want to create a new security group? That is up to you. What traffic you want to allow in this particular security group, you can decide. You can define the rules over here. Then Storage, by default it is 8 GB root volume. Do you need additional volume? You can define that. If you need file system, that also you can define. Rest of the things, like do you want a IAM role to be attached to your server, or maybe you want let's say you want the user data. Okay, rest of the things I'm not discussing as of now because we are just going ahead with the basic EC2. So if you want the user data is like if you want some task to be automatically performed when you first connect to your EC2, you can give some commands for that here. Okay, basically some sort of initialization script. If you want to run onto your EC2, you can pass the commands over here. Otherwise, you can click on launch instance and your instance will be ready. That's it. Once it is saying success, it means your instance is ready. So it will be into the pending state for a first few seconds and soon it will be ready to use. So you can see my instance is ready, my server or the virtual machine is ready on AWS. That's how quick and easy it is. All I have to do is just connect to this EC2 instance using this connect option because I didn't create a key pair. So I just need to click on this connect option. I'll be connecting to my EC2 instance and then I can host any application that I want to host on my EC2 instance. Let me show you quickly. So, okay, so as of now, I don't have the permissions to, actually the wrong option was select. I wanted to show you from this option, EC2 instance connect. You just need to click on connect option. And there you go. This is how your EC2 instance looks like. Because I selected the Linux operating system, that's why a terminal like this has appeared. Now you can run the commands to host any application you want or anything that you want to do, and you are good to go with the compute. So this was the first and very basic option of having compute on AWS. Let's go back to our slides and understand the next available option for compute on AWS. So next we have is Amazon Lightsail. So when you are new to AWS and do not know where to start, here's the answer. You can use Amazon Lightsail. Getting started in the cloud can be a little confusing often. There's so much information out there, it can make your first step seem quite difficult. So how do you know what is your best option for a cloud platform? Lightsail can help those who are just getting started in the cloud. It offers everything that you need to jumpstart your project on AWS because it includes everything that you need to launch your project quickly, be it instances, be it the container services, managed databases, content delivery network distributions, load balancers, SSD based block storage, static IP addresses, DNS management of registered domains, and the resource snapshots. And also, it is very cost effective and offers an easy to use interface along with plenty of helpful resources. So what does that mean? All the things available on a single place. How nice it is, right? Everything that you need, you don't have to go to different service to manage that. You get all of the things on a single console. And let me show you how does it look like. So you go to AWS console, you go to Lightsail, and here you go. You have everything on a single place. Instances you create from here. Containers, databases, networking, storage, snapshots, everything under a single console. So you click on create instance and you get the options over here. Which platform you want? You want Windows or Linux? Let's go ahead with the Linux. You want any application as well, or you just want an operating system? Let me go ahead with the operating system only as of now. You can select the operating system that you want under the Linux or Unix platform. Then you want any launch script. So this is similar to the user data that I was showing you while in the EC2 instance. Then SSH key pair. So it has already selected the my key SSH key. You can change the SSH key pair from here. When you are using it for the first time, it will ask you to create a key pair. Then any automatic snapshots do you want for this or not? If you want, you can tick here. Otherwise, you can skip this. Pricing per month. What do you want to select? You want to select the plan as per the price per month, or as per the memory, or as per the processing. What do you want? Okay, so let's go ahead with the price per month itself. That is $3.5 per month. We'll go ahead with this and then identify your instance. This is the name of your EC2 or the name of your Lightsail instance. Let me give it the name as first instance, like how we gave to our EC2. Okay, let me remove the space from here. Then you can create the tags here. There can be two kinds of tags. It can be key only tags or the key value tags. Key only tags where you just give a key. Okay, that's it. Like name, or you can say my EC2, something like that. Key value tags can be like a key will be given like some project, value can be given like blog, something like that you can give. So I'm not going to give any tags as of now. I'll just click on create instance and it will be created here on the home page. You can see here's my instance. It is getting ready. It is in the pending state as of now with a 512 MB of RAM, 1 CPU and 20 GB SSD storage. And this is a IP address that it has got. And it is located in the AP South 1A availability zone, that is Mumbai's availability zone. If you want to work around the containers, you have it here. If you want to work on the databases, you have it here. Networking also, you can configure all the things from here. Okay, you want to create a CDN distribution, you want to create a static IP, load balancer, anything, that's here. Storage, you have it here. You want to create a bucket or a disk. Snapshots, if you want to manage, you have here. All the things under a single console, you have it. Now, how do you connect to this instance? That's it. You have this option here. You click on this and you will be connected to it. Maybe I'm not sure if I'll be able to connect. Okay, it's already connected, because when you just launch this instance, it takes some time to for you to be able to connect to this instance. But here I am. Here is my EC2 that got created with the help of Lightsail. Now similar commands, whatever I want to run, I can run here. I can host my applications here. It's just that it's easy to manage all the things under a single console. So if you are new and you do not know much about how to work around these services, you can go to Lightsail to get easily started on AWS by hosting your project. Let's go back to the slides and understand the other compute service that is available for us. Now next that we have is AWS Lambda. So for this, I would like to start like, what if you have a serverless compute requirement? Focus on the keyword serverless. AWS Lambda is a solution for that. So first of all, let me tell you what is serverless. Serverless doesn't mean that the servers are not there. It's just that you don't have to worry and manage about the servers. Okay, it will be managed by the service itself, but the servers will still be there in the backend. It is a fully managed compute service that runs your code in response to events and automatically manages the underlying compute resources for you. That's why it is serverless. It runs your code on a high availability compute infrastructure and performs all the administration of the compute resources, including server and operating system maintenance, capacity provisioning, automatic scaling, code monitoring and logging. All the things getting managed for you, and you are just sitting like this. Isn't it amazing? Yes, because you have a very less things to manage. You have more time to focus on the code. So the code quality can be improved more. It executes the code at the capacity as and when you need it, and that's what we mean by serverless, as we have seen just now. Okay, that we don't have to worry about the servers at all. It will only run the when there's a request, and other times it won't do anything, and you don't have to pay for the idle time, that when it's existing in your AWS account and not doing anything. You don't have to pay for that. AWS Lambda natively supports Java, Go, PowerShell, Node.js, C#, Python, and Ruby code, and provides a runtime API that enables you to use any additional programming languages to author your functions as well. Custom runtimes means you can implement a Lambda runtime in any programming language, and you can include a runtime in your functions deployment package. Apart from this, the maximum function timer for a Lambda function is 15 minutes, which means a Lambda function can run for a maximum of 15 minutes and not more than that. If you have something which takes more than 15 minutes to process, you can look for other options like EC2. So function, I'm saying don't get confused with what is a function. It is nothing but a resource. Like in EC2, we create instance. Similarly, in Lambda, we create functions. Okay, so mostly it is used for creating microservices. Let's say I have an e-commerce application. For that, for login, I will create a separate function. For displaying the products, I'll create a separate function. For order processing, I'll create a separate Lambda function. It is mostly used in those cases where the microservices are being created, which takes less than 15 minutes to be processed. Then in Lambda, you have this feature as well, Lambda Edge. Lambda at Edge is a feature of Amazon CloudFront that enables you to run code closer to the users. So I am assuming that you have an idea about what does CloudFront do, then you can understand this. This will eventually improve the performance and reduce the latency because, of course, the code will be running closer to the users of your application. It runs the code in response to the events that are generated by the CloudFront content delivery network. So for this, of course, you need to know a little bit about CloudFront. And for all these services that we are discussing in today's video, you can have a deep dive of them. I have done the separate videos for them, for the EC2 also, for the Lightsail also, for the Lambda also, and for our next service, Beanstalk also. You can refer to the same channel for the deep dive video of all of these services to get more information. There I have explained more features about these services, so you can watch those videos as well. This is just a quick overview of the different compute options available in a single video. Okay, so that was about Lambda. Mostly it is for serverless and microservices. Anything that takes less than 15 minutes to process. Now we will have a quick look at how do we create a Lambda function and how does it look like. So let's go to the console and let's go to the Lambda. Here we go. We just need to navigate to the Lambda console. So that's how the Lambda console looks like. I just need to click on create function. I have 4 options here. I can author the Lambda function from scratch. I can use a blueprint if I want to use some example code, or I can use a container image to build my function, or I can browse the serverless application repository if I want to deploy a particular application from the samples. So I'll begin with the author from scratch options. Here I have to give a name to my Lambda function. I'll go ahead by giving this name first Lambda. I'll give this name. Runtime you select which language you want to choose. I'll go ahead with the Python. And architecture you can select. Then the permissions you have to select. Do you want to create a new role with the basic Lambda permissions? What does this include? This includes just the permission to write the logs to CloudWatch. It is mentioned over there as well. You want to use an existing role or you want to create a new role from the templates from here itself. So I'll go ahead with create a new role. Okay, that's okay for now. Advanced settings, you can specify if there's anything that is under your scope. As of now in this demo scope, I'll just skip them and I'll click on create function. That's it. That is very simple. Lambda is easiest to create. So you just see that I just gave a name, I specified the runtime, and I specified the permissions, and my Lambda is here. Here I get a complete nice code editor. Okay, all the features that I need while my development, everything. So they have given me a sample code over there which will just print hello from Lambda. You can define your code over here and you can invoke it using various methods. You can invoke it manually. You can invoke it based on an event that is happening. You can invoke it on a schedule that is happening. Anything that is relevant to your use case. Okay, you will work with this Lambda code editor like how you work with other code editors simply. So let me click on test. I just have to give a test event name. Okay, I don't have any specific thing, so I'm not changing it. I'm just going ahead with the default values and then I'll click on test. You can see that is the output, hello from Lambda with the status code 200. And what if I make a change to this Lambda function? I have to deploy the changes, then run it. Otherwise, the changes will not be taken into consideration. And how do I upload the code here? I can write it directly over here. I can upload it as a zip file from my local system, or I can even refer to a S3 URL if my code is stored in Amazon S3. So that's how I can get started with the Lambda. I just have to write the code over there. Rest of the things are taken care for my Lambda function, like what operating system update, programming language update, anything like that. Any administrative action that is automatically taken care. All I have to do this and I'm good to go. That's how I can work with the Lambda. So you would have understood what are the use cases of Lambda when I say it's used for serverless and microservices. Let's go back to the slides and understand the other service for today's video, that is Elastic Beanstalk. Now, this service falls under the platform as a service category, okay, and it is very easy to use service for deploying and scaling web applications and services developed with various technologies such as Java, .NET, PHP, Node.js, Python, etc. And with Elastic Beanstalk, you can quickly deploy and manage applications in the AWS cloud without having to learn about the infrastructure that runs those applications. So, for example, let's say you are slightly new to AWS, or maybe you are familiar with AWS, but you don't have that much of time to create the infrastructure of your application on AWS. You have the code ready, but you don't have that much of time or maybe the expertise to create the infrastructure. So, how can you quickly deploy that code onto the AWS to get your application up and running? Elastic Beanstalk will be your friend in that case. Okay, because it will provision the entire infrastructure for you. Okay, what you have to do is just bring your code, that's it. And what about the infrastructure that it creates for you? Do you will you be able to see that? Absolutely, because it is completely transparent. The transparency is maintained. Although it creates the infrastructure for you, but you will still be able to see what all resources it has created for you, depending on what code you have uploaded over there. And it is impossible to outgrow because it automatically scales your application up and down. Elastic Beanstalk reduces the management complexity without restricting choice or control, because you simply upload your application and Beanstalk automatically handles the details of capacity provisioning, load balancing, scaling, and application health monitoring. You don't have to bother about those things at all. Basically, the goal of Elastic Beanstalk is to help developers deploy and maintain scalable web applications and the services in the cloud without having to worry about the underlying infrastructure. It configures each EC2 instance in your environment with the components that is necessary to run the applications for the selected platform. You don't have to worry about logging in into EC2 instances and to install and configure your application stuff. You just bring your code, rest of the things are taken care. So we'll go to the AWS console and see the wonders of Elastic Beanstalk. I go to the console and let me click on Elastic Beanstalk. For the purpose of this demo and to save some time, I have already created one environment or the application, which I will show you. Here is my application. You can also get started with the sample application. All that you have to do is just click on create environment and it will take you through the steps. Okay, and what I have got here is this is my application that is ready. The health is being checked. Okay, I can have different versions of my application running in this. I can decide all those things. Okay, here I have different application versions if I want. Then here is all the things. Okay, the configurations, let me show you. Logs, health, monitoring, alarms, everything here under this tab. So if I click on configuration here, I will get to know what all resources it has deployed for me, because I told you that it is completely transparent. The software that is there, okay, the instances that is created, its configurations, capacity that is there, okay, for the scaling, for the auto scaling, the whole configuration is mentioned there, and you can even edit that. That is unique about the Beanstalk, because in Lambda and all we didn't see that we can change these things, although we were not managing those things, but we were not able to change also here. Although we are not managing these things, but still we have the chance to edit these things, right? The load balancer that's created, and the updates, security, the key pair, monitoring, everything I have available here. Okay, and I can even edit these things, then I can apply the changes. So what application has been hosted on my Elastic Beanstalk? Let me show you just a sample application which has this URL, and that application is hosted on the Elastic Beanstalk. You can have your own code, customized one, you can deploy that on the Elastic Beanstalk and your application will appear, and you don't even have to create your instances and all other things will be created for you like this over here. Okay, that's how you can get started with the Beanstalk. Since it's a platform as a service, that is what I'm trying to demonstrate here. That platform is brought to you as a service. You are not creating that. Okay, what you are focusing on is the application code. That's it. Now let's go back to the slides and discuss about a few other compute services apart from the ones that we discussed majorly. So we have Amazon EC2 auto scaling, which is used to automatically add or remove the compute capacity to meet the changes in demand. Basically, let's say I have currently deployed two EC2s. Maybe depending on my application growth, I might be needing tomorrow three more EC2s or maybe four more EC2s, or maybe I need to decrease the number. So how do I do it automatically? I have the EC2 auto scaling for that. Then I have ECS, which is a highly secure, reliable, and scalable way to run the containers on AWS. How do I orchestrate them? I have the Amazon ECS, Elastic Container Service. Then AWS Fargate. If I want the containers also and I want the serverless option also, in that case, Fargate is the answer. Okay, because this is a serverless compute for the containers. Then I have AWS Outpost, which provide a way to run the select AWS services in your on-premises data center. So they will bring the infrastructure to your on-premises to run the available options over there itself. Okay, if you want to run the services at your on-premises for those purposes. Then you have EC2 Image Builder, which is used to build and maintain the secure Linux or Windows Server images. What I was telling, right? Amazon machine images you can create with the help of EC2 Image Builder if you are creating custom images. Then AWS Batch, which is a fully managed batch processing service. You can run the batch processing jobs at any scale using this service. Apart from this, you have Amazon EKS, which is used to run manage Kubernetes on AWS. Then you have Elastic Container Registry, that is Amazon ECR, which is used to store and retrieve Docker images. And there are many more services as well you can explore. This was a just overview of the other compute options and focus on the most core compute options available. And how do we decide between them? It's just about the difference between what AWS manage and what you will manage. Let's say you are talking about Lambda, since it is serverless, so all these things are taken care by AWS. I mean, most of the things are taken care by AWS. What you manage, just the application code. But if we talk about a service like Amazon EC2, it is an infrastructure as a service category of service. So here AWS manages just a few things, which are the physical hardware and all. But what do you manage? You manage application code, the data source integration, scaling, security configuration, security updates, and all these things. So as you can see, as we are moving towards the upside, the responsibilities of the customer is decreasing, okay, a little bit, and AWS responsibility is also increasing. Okay, customers is decreasing, the AWS responsibility is increasing. So it's totally up to you what kind of use case you are having, what level of control and convenience are you wanting. Is control your priority or is convenience your priority? Depending on that, you can select the compute option. I have given you a quick overview of all the compute options available. Now you can evaluate depending on your use case, which will be suitable for which will be the suitable compute option for you. So I hope that's clear for today's video, and next topic we'll discuss in next video. Thank you.